So when I was a kid, there was this guy called Gellar. He claimed to be a psychic. He was a big deal. He was on the Johnny Carson show. Johnny Carson. So imagine a show like Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert's audiences all roll up into one. Uri was, of course, a fraud because psychic powers aren't a thing. But he fooled the CIA, professors, scientists, parapsychologists, physicists, etc., etc. He was exposed by a guy named James Randi, who wrote this video's featured book. Randi wasn't a scientist. He was a stage magician. Turns out that the secret to spotting a fraud isn't ask the experts in the field in question. It's ask someone who knows how to reproduce the result. So, let's do a thought experiment about ChatGPT. So imagine for a moment that you wanted to build an online service that mimics what ChatGPT does. For now, just worry about the text part. Let's not worry about DALL-E or Sora or any of that stuff. But we want to do it without using any neural networks or anything that people might normally consider to be AI. This has to remain a thought experiment for reasons I'll talk about later, but let's go through it together. It'll be an interesting exercise. So you want to build a conventional internet software startup, and you've got a handful of years to get the product to market. You don't have to care about revenue, and you have, I'm just going to pick a number out of the air, say $63,920 million of investment money to spend on it. Do you think that could be done? Because I do. And I think there's a decent chance there'd be enough money left over to feed all of the hungry people in the US for a decent fraction of a year. So you start off by building a giant index of the web. And what the hell, while you're at it, throw in a few terabytes of pirated books and journals. Now, no, we're not talking about training a model or anything like that. This is straightforward text indexing the way Google used to work back before they killed it. Now you take the query text, we're not going to call these prompts, so that there would be a lot of similarity. And you use the standard text search algorithms to find the top N similar matches. Might be 100, might be 1,000, who knows. We would run an experiment later to see what number gives us the best results. Then we take the text that matched and we dump it into some series of algorithms to extract the text, break it up into parts of speech, find permutations of it, move words around, replace words with synonyms, etc., and then decide what word we ought to output next. There's a lot of prior art we could pull from. The act of outputting similar text goes back at least to Eliza in the 1960s. Then there was a chatbot made by a few people for a few $1,000s. It supposedly succeeded in passing a Turing test in a competition in 2014. Siri reportedly cost Apple $200 million, and we've got, 300 times that much money? IBM supposedly spent $4 billion on its Jeopardy-winning Watson bot. And that wasn't just to compete on the show. That also includes all the money they spent trying and failing to cure cancer with it after it won Jeopardy. We have 16 times more money than that. And unlike Watson or Siri or the Turing test bot, we don't have to care if it answers the questions correctly. We'll just stick a disclaimer at the bottom of the output page that says the bot hallucinates and the user is responsible for verifying everything. How close do you think we could get to what ChatGPT could do? It's hard to say because it could never, ever happen. Both because no one would spend that much money making a chatbot without being convinced that it might magically become an equivalent of a PhD in every subject. And because we'd get sued into homelessness by all of the people whose content we were plagiarizing because we wouldn't have the defense of claiming that we grew it instead of building it. And we can't be held responsible because no one can understand how it works. But I've done a lot of data searching projects. And given that amount of money, I don't have a difficult time believing we could get there. And I bet we could make it even easier by taking what has been learned about the attention mechanism since the 2017 Attention is All You Need paper, and then retrofitting that knowledge back onto non-neural network vector encoding techniques like latent semantic analysis or hyperspace analogs to language. And what would make it easiest of all is that the hardest part of any such project, making sure the answer is correct, no longer applies because we can just stick our fingers in our ears and chant, it's just a hallucination over and over anytime somebody complains. At the very least, I think it'll be much more technically possible than ChatGPT being PhD level smart in every subject. Just something to think about. Thanks for watching. Let's be careful out there.